Hello everyone, this is Coach Oliver. It's the final day of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin, and we have a wonderful result for our very own Wesley So. He won the third leg of the FIDE Grand Prix over Hikaru Nakamura, the overall winner, by the way, of FIDE Grand Prix 2020. What an end. Yeah. This is what we expected of Wesley. It's better late than never. It's just bittersweet because the third spot, the candidates could have been his. Unfortunately, FIDE announced that it will be given to the top rated player in the May 1st rating list. But anyways, a win is a win, and let us rejoice. Check it out. Wesley was wiped in the second game, in the decisive game of the match, the tiebreaks. He played e4. Nakamura went for e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6. All right, we have the Berlin second game in the playoff. Wesley winning with the Berlin in Berlin. What a fitting end to Wesley's quest. Okay, Wesley here castled. Nakamura played knight takes e4, rook into e1, knight d6, knight takes e5, bishop into e7. Of course, it's not possible for black to take on b5 because there's just a discovered attack. Bishop e7, bishop f1, keeping the bishop. Knight into e5, rook takes e5, castles, d4. Knight goes to e8, knight transfers to f6, open up this with d5 or d6. Nice move by Wesley. Okay, this move d5 controls space on the fifth. Okay. Bishop into c5, rook e1 back. Okay, white regroups. As you can see, it's not yet developed. The pieces are not developed, but later on it will be better for white. d6, knight into c3. Bishop f5, bishop d3, taking away that light square. Bishop takes. Knight into f6, h3, not allowing knight g4 to knight e5. h6, Nakamura stops bishop g5. But it was also possible to play knight d7 here. Maybe he was just worried about knight e4, I guess. Okay, so h6, bishop d2, queen into d7, queen f3. Wesley is trying to go for bishop takes h6 here, and queen takes f6. Nakamura protects it with bishop d4. The bishop protects the knight in f6. Rook a1, rook into e8, rook takes. Here Nakamura went for knight takes e8. It was possible to play rook takes e8. I'm not sure about knight takes. Maybe he was worried about bishop takes h6. Takes, probably queen takes c3. But black has queen f5. There's a counterplay with knight takes d5. And also, if the queen moves somewhere, he has queen c2 later on. Let's say queen g3, queen on h7. If the bishop moves, he has queen c2 getting the rook. Maybe in a classical game, he would go for rook takes e8, but with lesser time control, it's not so easy to be precise also. So he went for knight takes e8. First he went back for queen d3, queen to b6, rook to e1, knight into f6, knight e4, queen into f5, g4. Okay, Wesley is going for broke, which is a good indication that he wants to win this tournament. Queen g6, bishop c3, knight into d7, knight g3, exchange. All right, white here has a double pawn, but the control of the open file is big. Nakamura went for g6, stopping knight f5, king g2, knight into e5, rook d1, temporarily protecting the pawn, rook into e8, knight e4. With that g6, it weakens also f6. So just the right timing for Wesley. King into f8, now knight f6. Rook into e7, nice move, a4, weakening that bishop on b6, threatening a5. Because after a5, now this bishop is weakened. See what happens in the game. h4, black has no useful moves. He went for he went for c6, because now if he goes knight to d7, for example, Wesley can just play maybe queen f3 here, knight takes f6, takes on f6, rook goes to e8, rook c1. Yeah. This is our target here. t4 just restricts the bishop. Nakamura blundered. Yeah. Normally it's the opponent blundering in faster time controls against Naka, but this time with the pressure, it wasn't easy to find moves for black here. This is just like a zugzwang position for black. Okay, he doesn't have g5 here as well, because takes and then knight check and knight takes. Yeah. Okay, the bishop cannot move because it's tied up to the pawn on a5. Rook also is not going to move. Knight takes care of e8 and d7. Blundered. Bishop takes e5, and Wesley pounced on it immediately because the rook cannot take, of course. Knight d7 comes. After d takes, d6. He loses that bishop. That's why this a4 move was a pretty good move by Wesley. This was a winning move, e4. And Wesley was very sharp this time. Huh? Maybe that draws in the classical helped. It made him. I mean, it's a refresher. Yeah. So for us who judge him drawing his classical games, we make an apology for that. Because in the rapid, he was also actually winning game number 1. He's energized with probably the 2 draws. Yeah. Okay, staying 13 days in Berlin is not easy also. So takes an e5, takes and d6 now. Rook e6, knight d7. This is already winning for white. The rest is just a matter of technique. Knight takes and b6. Rook takes d6, knight c4. But against Nakamura, you have to be extra careful also. Rook d4, f3. Okay, keeping the pawns. King into f6, b3. Protecting a4. Not giving black any hope. Pawn to b5, takes and b5, takes and knight takes a5, h5 just takes. Yeah. King into g3, protecting h4. Nakamura for d6, b4, king f5, knight to b3. Stopping rook d4 also. Right, repositioning the knight. Rook g6 check, king f2. Nakamura finds some open lines, but no problem. Wesley says, I want to close it. Rook d6, king e3, rook d4. Okay, he gave up the pawn on h4, so that he could push, takes, rook takes. Right, forcing the exchange, because if black captures here, knight takes on d4. If you go king g5 and knight takes b5, the king is inside the rule of the square, right? So when you push your pawn in h4, no problem. It's still inside. Knight c3, play h3. Yeah, that's the rule of the square. And nice pawn on f3, also stopping any king g4 whatsoever. Okay, rook h1, rook d5, king to g6, takes on b5. No hope for black. Knight e5 check. King f4, avoiding any checks. Knight into g4, taking care of h2. The pawn will not progress. And now rook g5 check. King f8, rook h5. King goes back to g7, b5. Okay, Nakamura was hoping for rook takes h3, one final trick, yeah. So he could go for rook b1, yeah, and take that pawn. But Wesley was careful. Yeah, he went for rook b1, rook g5 check, king h7, knight into f6, king into h6, g4 back, and the king goes to the pawn. To b3, rook f5, keeping both pawns, yes. King g6, rook into f6. King g5, actually here, Nakamura also resigned. Yeah. Well, in this case, Wesley can just take on h3, right? Because if the rook takes on b5, it's going to be a checkmate with f4, king h5, and rook h6. Well, what a win by Wesley. Again, it's just a different feeling, him winning and not qualifying for the candidates. It's just sad. We are happy for him winning the Grand Prix, but also sad that he's not qualifying for the candidates. Again, that announcement by FIDE to give that final spot to the top-rated player in the main one rating list is a bit controversial. And imagine this, Nakamura won the first leg. He qualified. Rapport won the second leg. He's also qualified. Wesley winning the third leg, and he's not qualified. That is just, I don't know. It's a big headache, yeah. But it is what it is. The good thing is that Wesley won, yeah. And probably we'll just leave that argument to FIDE and the others. Important is winning the tournament. And he's back, yeah, Wesley is back. So that was it. Congratulations to Wesley for winning Berlin with the Berlin against Hikaru Nakamura. And guys, thank you for supporting our channel. And the FIDE Grand Prix has ended. We will continue to give you more insightful videos in the days to come. This is Coach Oliver. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.